Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 75 of Red Wings Rant. Today we're going to be talking Lucas Raymond and hitting those snipes and how good that's going to look on the Detroit Red Wings power play coming up. We've got a couple of guys hitting the trade block, and do they make sense for the Red Wings? What benefit would they actually bring to us? And does it make sense for the Red Wings to hit for that benefit right now? Got the Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals we're just going to take a quick look at, and then the 2014 NHL ReDraft. A couple of names at the top of that list. Obviously, Draisaitl, you've got Brayden and future captain of the Detroit Red Wings, number 71, Dylan Larkin. Is he going up or down? You'll see. You'll like this outcome as a Red Wings fan. All right, we got a quick ad coming right up for you, and then we're going to jump right into the show.
Are you at Kenny Rogers now, or no? That's your
no. No. It's just my display name. It's still at Ken Stavon, but
is Rogers your middle name? Sorry, I don't even know.
No, you don't know who Kenny Rogers is? The gambler?
No.
What?
I'm a deer in headlights, buddy. I'm a deer in headlights.
Anyways, Kenny Rogers, very infamous country singer, and also just what the O-Dog has deemed my nickname. He just keeps calling me Kenny Rogers, or referring to me in the third person as the gambler. So
O-Dog.
He was roasting me the other day on Overdrive on Labor Day because I shot him a text message during the show.
No way.
I have to say something. Kenny Rogers, I know you can hear this right now. Don't ever text me on my personal phone. He just texted me and said, I'm doing updates, guy.
I love it. Good man, Kenny. He's in there
Kenny.
working.
But he was roasting me on air, man. I was at work doing the updates, and he was saying that I got the day off, so I had to defend my honor.
Not Another Leafs podcast. New episodes Mondays on the Hockey Podcast Network.
Where's the camera?
Well, it's actually like episode 2 of the Red Wings Rant. So
camera 1, camera 2. Is anybody Wayne's World? Hey everybody, welcome to episode 75. 75, Mike. That's a big number. It's
a highway in Michigan.
It's 100 minus 25. Oh, we used to be we used to be 75 in Woodward. And
Yep.
What's great is realizing what a great name that was, because that is. The Red Wings now have the Word on Woodward, which is a shared program for the Tigers and Red Wings chat through, Olympia. So that's me saying, oh yeah, I actually had a good name there. I mean, it's not the same thing, but they're going for the same idea. It's the Word on Woodward, and because they have two teams. Okay, anybody.
It's right up there with the great names in history, like the Seattle Kraken or the Discussion 5.
Welcome to episode 75.
Nothing better than throwing man off in the first minute. Go ahead.
We are Red Wings Rant, tirades and impassioned pleas about your Detroit Red Wings. Woo! Now have a home. Woo! All right, we're here every Monday with the Hockey Podcast Network, and we are the Brothers of Discussion. We're the Brothers of Discussion. I'm really thrown off track here. I'm at Klinkmatt. That is at Michael_Klink. Actually, my name is Matt. That's Mike. Jesus. We're at BOD Hockey. When I do my interview this Thursday, I pray to God it doesn't go like this. Brothers of Discussion, wrestling podcast can be found at BOD Podcast. Our website is bodpodcast.com and brothersofdiscussion.com. And then Hockey Podcast Network can be found at HockeyPodNet on Twitter, and it is the hockeypodcastnetwork.com to find all of those lovely shows where that network is continuing to expand. A lot of guys are going live. I haven't I haven't taken the deep dive into their program yet, so hopefully maybe next week, and then it'll be a short show that we get to practice with, because hopefully I'm gonna not say, if you go to Brothers of Discussion Wrestling Podcast, you can hear me talk about who we're gonna interview, but I don't want to say it now and then it doesn't happen. So we've got to do like the follow-up conversation and stuff, so I got to make sure everything still is in place. But as of right now, everybody, there is a really cool interview coming up next week. And a hint, I guess, would be I'm listening I had a long drive yesterday, got to listen to the first part of his book, going to finish the rest of the book later on this week. It is incredible. It's a Detroit Red Wings book. You guys probably can guess who it is, because there's one Detroit Red Wings book that is absolutely incredible and affected decades and will continue to affect decades of NHL hockey. But super excited. Just going to leave it at that, and hopefully everything works out. All right, Mike, what did I miss? I think that's it. We could start talking, right? We had lucky Luke Raymond coming out with what I called yesterday the Lucas Ray beam. One hell of a snipe. Just everything about this. This is game number one for Lucas Raymond in the SHL in Frolunda. I just, you and I think our official pick dating back to November was Lucas Raymond. I remember we had on Shane Ryan of the Ottawa Senators podcast was on the show, and we actually devoted an entire conversation to what happens when the Ottawa Senators and the Detroit Red Wings do not land the number one pick. What do we do? So we even at that time, I think we were putting down Byfield and Stutzel. So it was like, all right, but who's going to be number 4? And we were saying Lucas Raymond at that time. And everything about him, like where I want him to line up on the power play, and we've been talking about on this show, on everybody else's show, and it's just been. I feel like I've been chatting and talking everyone's ear off about it, and there's still the Rossi folks, there's still the Perfetti folks, and that's fine. I tweeted yesterday. I think Yzerman's in this perfect position where you really can't screw this up. Like, he's outside of that realm of like 2 and 3. Do you pick Byfield or you go with Stutzel? Like, that seems like a harder choice than at pick 4, because I think you're just now you're just in this realm where the talent level is kind of like this, like it's neck and neck. But what you can get with Lucas Raymond, he showed off yesterday. You put him on that damn power play, and that was goddamn one hell of a snipe. And it's the other part of this too, and I'll let you speak in a second, Mike. At least I want to get your thoughts. But last year it was 10 points in 33 games. So the knock is, how long is this guy's development going to be? Because we know he has the talent. So now he's 1 goal in 1 game. And he looked confident. He looked like he had command on the ice. It was him just dancing around his defender and making the room. And then, God, not even needing that much space between him and the goaltender, because he just knocked that sucker with the tiniest little space in the top shelf. And another point I wanted to make too, the assist, Jan Mrsak. Former Detroit Red Wing. Nice little nugget there. But showing confidence mixed with that high caliber of ability that has, that's been a part of his label since he became a top draft prospect. So him just showing that in this first game that he's playing with Frolunda this year. I hope he doesn't look too good over the next couple of weeks. Because I've still, like, I guess the worst case scenario, we get a guy who's projected to be in the top 3, drops to number 4. But I've been high on Luke Raymond. I hope what this does is take him from like where the Athletic has him going like 7, 8, 9, or 10, and have him come down to 4. Because I've already had him at my number 4 for the entire year. So this was exciting for me and the rest of hockey Twitter to go, maybe he's onto something.
Yeah, I mean the Red Wings upper brass, Matt. They really like their two-way players, and Luke he likes playing offense, likes playing defense. And Matt, if he wants to win over this Detroit Red Wing faithful, he's already on his way, because much like the way we fell in love with Robbie Fabry, because he had 2 goals in his first game. My God. Lucas Raymond opens up his SHL season with a goal. He's already won us over, man. It took 1 game. We're ready to take him at 4. Yep. I think you're right. Like, as far as worrying about a slow burn, we got decades before we're going to be relevant. Take your time. We're not going to be good for another 30 to 60 years, man. So I think he fits the plan. He's already got one goal in his first game, which is, how we judge talent in this city. I think that's how we did Dmitry Young as a Detroit Tiger when he opened a season with 3 home runs, and the rest of the season he had 3 more. Yep. But man, what an opening day. So have yourself a day, Dmitry Young. Have yourself a day, Lucas Raymond. No, I'm not saying he's going to be the Dmitry Young of hockey, but I'm just saying so far he is. But I can still make the case for somebody getting some sexier points. Give me a little Marco out of Ottawa there. I know he's a little boy. I know he's only like 5'3.5". He's little Angus Young out there, but give me the razzle dazzle. We got defensive forwards on this team. Yzerman traded Jacob De La Rose, right? Because we had enough of these goofballs. Let's get some points on this team. Give me Jamie Draisaitl. I want organizational strength, or I want some razzle dazzle.
I am not labeling him as a strict defensive forward. I want to make that clear to the Red Wings Rant faithful. This guy's going to make a huge difference on the offensive side. That's why I want Lucky Luke.
I want it in this decade, though.
It will happen. That's what we're talking about. That's what the argument is. That's what you see this kid carry himself in this first game that he played this season, and it makes sense.
I know. It was a good first game, but give me Marco. Give me Draisaitl. I either want to build an organizational strength. Let's just have an incredible defense with the DD man, or give me Marco with the razzle dazzle. That's what I want.
I'm going to say Rossi's fine. I'm going to say Draisaitel's a mistake. And that's where I say I actually got into a conversation with he's on Twitter. He's Jesse. I said that Yzerman couldn't make a mistake here, and then he did point out how am I going to feel if Draisaitl or, God forbid, Askarov pops up at number 4? And
it's not going to be Askarov. It's not going to happen.
I would feel pretty terrible. I would be pretty sad. I guess, like I said that, and I have all the confidence in the world that Yzerman's going to load us up with one of these forwards. So Raymond is number 1 on my list. I would say Perfetti's number 2. Rossi, he could be a manageable 3rd on my prospect list. I'll put him there, Mike, just for you. But yeah, Draisaitl, Sanderson. I've seen the crazy clickbait articles that are coming out of how much Yzerman loves Sanderson, and it's like, no, we're not taking a guy who's like, it's this Quinn Hughes, like, no, you got to take the defenseman who's projected to go 10th. Like, we're not playing that game. All right. Mike, a little more Red Wing potential news, because we're obviously, when we talk.
Well, let me ask you a hard question before we move off of this.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say, lo and behold, Red Wings draft Lucas at number 4, and for some reason we get a phone call. Hey, what do you think about taking pick number 5? Are you taking another one of these forwards to try and increase the odds that one of them takes off, or are you going to take one of these defensemen? Are you taking Sanderson or my boy Draisaitl? Would you spread the wealth positionally, or would you just try to get an extra lottery ticket that one of these forwards pans out if you got a phone call for number 5?
Yeah, the other question would be, like, what are the Ottawa Senators going to do? And I think they absolutely could make, they make the better argument where they're going to take like Stutzel at 3 or Byfield at 3 and then Draisaitl at 5. So I think that is very likely. That makes a lot of sense if you have 2 picks in the. I mean, both of those teams, the Detroit Red Wings and the Ottawa Senators, are so far away from being cup contenders. That's where, like, yeah, you pick up Draisaitl. I'm going to be disappointed. I don't want to see him. Like, the projection for this guy is middle 6. So I want to get a guy that can be a top 6 for our forwards. So I don't know. I like the idea of going for the high risk, high reward kind of thing. Like, I want to see the higher reward. You couldn't even really label like Raymond being higher risk than Draisaitl. I think at this point you see what you can get out of the power play and how much we've struggled on the power play for years. And where this is like an actual solution to like one of our major problems. And when you look at Draisaitl, you're saying, well, we don't have a lot of defensemen. And I like to cross off something a little more sure in regards to like, well, now we have a right-handed forward that can go, be slotted right into the power play and make a little bit more. I like, Lucas is fine, but wouldn't he be playing next to Larkin? I mean, right now isn't our number two center arguably Filppula at 39 million years old? Yeah, and that's where Perfetti, I think, makes a great deal of sense. I just I don't know. I guess to just keep bringing up to bring up Draisaitl, to me there's not enough there, and there's too much from people who know more than me that say, like this isn't your game changing defenseman, and we have another 6 rounds of drafting to pick up a guy who's not going to be our game changing defenseman. Yeah, and again, everything I'm saying here is based off of what other people have said. But I that's where when I say I love Lucas Raymond and I love what I just saw yesterday, and we've been, at least on the show, we've been touting him since November. That's all coming from other people, but what I read from other folks, mainly like Prod Man from The Athletic, is just the skill. There's more skill potential out of Lucas Raymond than a Jamie Draisaitl. And even on like the elite, Elite Prospects, I think is what it's called. I mean, Lucas Raymond is number 3 on their list, and he's also on the cover of their magazine for the draft preview. So, I mean, all that, like, there's a lot of good reasons to take Lucas Raymond. And I think the more, we've got 2 weeks here, the closer, or 2.5, the closer we get to this draft, I think it's going to look more and more sure that Lucas Raymond is like a for sure top 4 prospect. Like this is going to start to solidify. Like, no, it's not a 3-guy draft. This is a 4-guy draft.
Well, if that's the case, Yzerman's not going to give a damn about, well, we need centers, so I had to take a center. We've seen that with Seider. He's already set the precedent. I don't give a goddamn who you guys think I should draft. I'm taking my favorite player. So I think that helps in your argument as well. Even being a winger instead of a center.
Yeah, I think there's just so many holes to fill. I still like that idea that, the forward side and our right-handed opportunities just are not, they're not there. Now, defensively, yeah, we have a lot of right-handed defensemen. But I like that. I'm not saying he's going to be Alexander Ovechkin, but you're pretty much what we saw was this guy setting up in the Ovechkin side of things for the power play and lighting it up and being successful there. So you give this guy, you put him on any team, he's immediately got that role of a sniper. And again, you can't teach that snipe. You know what I mean? Like you could try that and practice it all day, all night. And that's just something that he gets to take with him wherever he goes to play hockey. All right.
No, I'll just say last comment.
Yeah.
Nobody's taught sniping like that since Mr. Fredrickson and up. But Matt, continue. Here, snipe. Yeah.
This is more or less, I don't know if this is just reporting news or just saying that I'm okay with either one of these guys joining the team, but 2 recent trade block, I guess I'm going to say additions. So they're being added to the NHL. Matt Dumba and Louis Eriksson. So Matt Dumba, the positives here, I don't care. This is number 1 for me. Leader of the Black Lives Matter movement in the NHL. Absolutely. There's a lot of guys that are a part of that. We saw Matt Dumba make the first speech to lead the Stanley Cup playoffs.
You saw the NHL ask him to be the ambassador for Black people. Bless America.
I want to make sure, like for me, this guy's getting paid $6 million a year. He's got if we picked him up, we're paying him for 3 seasons at that $6 million according to Cap Friendly. he's a middle six is how I put it, on a great team, and would be in our first pairing. But this guy, career, or you know what? I'm not going to say career. Let me back that statement up. The last 3 years, he's a positive Corsi for, so he's getting more shots on net than his side has given up. And more important for me, since we are talking a defenseman, it's his high danger scoring chances for percentage is also in his favor. So it's above 50%. Again, meaning that there are high danger scoring chances going for him and against him. But over the last 3 seasons, his line and his own production, it's been in his favor while he's on the ice. And then second one here, Loui Eriksson, $6 million for 2 seasons. So both of these guys are playing the same money game. Career half point per game guy, a lot less in recent history. I think 19 points in the most recent season that he completed.
Yeah, he's washed.
We're not talking upgrading the team actually with either one of these guys. These are guys that need to clear. These are teams that need to clear cap. I think Matt Dumba is obviously one where you're getting less. Like if you're trying to get high draft picks, you go for Loui Eriksson. If you're trying to fill out your roster for the next season and maybe have something make sense where you're giving up, like you're gonna have to give something back to Minnesota to get Matt Dumba. Like that is something where you're getting a player who's going to play for your team. Where Loui Eriksson is pretty much just a cap dump, so that Vancouver can start to move on.
I'd say of the two, the likelier is probably Loui Eriksson, and that's right. A more underwhelming acquisition because I think Vancouver would do naked cartwheels down the street to get rid of that contract because he hasn't been relevant in about 10 years. But as far as the Red Wings, they're just that kid in like preschool who's just got all the toys and they're just trying to hoard all their draft picks. And I don't think there's anything that they could really give up to get Dumba. The only way I could maybe see them swindling a move to Minnesota is to give like a contract of similar numbers, but less years. So to be like, and it just doesn't help them because they want to do it now, but they, you'd have to give them, goodness gracious. Ugh. Yeah, we don't really have anything you could give up for that. With a bucket of yuck. Yeah, we don't have any numbers that would really like, all right, we have another $6 million man, but he's going to be out in a year. They're just, and we're not going to give up draft picks. I don't think the Dumba contract is it's good for us. Like, we need somebody to play defense, or we need to start really wheeling and dealing on some of these contract guys who are just unrestricted free agents floating around. But I think that one's more a pie in the sky. If they get really desperate and nobody wants to touch them for some reason, that's where the Red Wings can swoop in and do. What do we have, like a 5th round, 6th round pick, something like that. I don't think those first, second, or third rounders are worth a Matt Dumba.
Yeah, I think you actually brought up a fantastic point. Not that we want to get rid of like Patrick Nemeth, but I mean that could be an option where you're just trading. You go 1 for 1. I don't know why this doesn't happen more. You go 1 for 1 on defensemen. We're going to eat the larger cap. We have them for longer. Maybe they don't have a great spot for Nemeth, but you only have to eat that contract for 1 more year. So that's something where maybe, I think I would honestly say that would be an upgrade for the Red Wings, but it's where the Minnesota Wild are looking for cap space, and they've made that very apparent in their recent trade moves. So in that regard, that could still work out. If they're trying to move cap, we could go, maybe we'd have to give up a little bit more. But again, I like where your head's at. I think Loui Eriksson is the thing that makes more sense for a team like the Detroit Red Wings. We still have to eat the $6 million of cap, but we should be getting, this is one of those where, the Toronto Maple Leafs are trading Patrick Marleau, and a high draft pick has to go along with it. Now, could be at this point, maybe because of the cap situation, maybe we're not going to get a first rounder, but I wouldn't mind 4 second-round picks going into this year. Or you could say, give us your 2022 first rounder from Vancouver to take Louis Eriksson. So it's not going to affect Vancouver right away. But Mike, we've said it a few times on the show. You got to start hoarding those first-round draft picks for 2022 because the super-duper star Shane Wright will be eligible for the draft. A guy who I picked up in NHL 20 for my team, and, of course, led the way to 12 straight Stanley Cups with Alexis Lafreniere and Shane Wright on my first line. All right. Actually, you know what I did? I did a Tampa Bay Lightning. I actually had Larkin and Lafreniere on the first line. Then the second line was Shane Wright with who did I? Nobody cares. All right. We're moving right along. All right. We actually have some conversation here about actual hockey that's being played. The Stanley Cup Finals started.
Oh, yeah, the Stanley Cup Finals.
Anybody remember that? Yeah.
We haven't been involved in one of those in a while, so it's just kind of like, just kind of watching from afar, you know?
Yeah, just draft talk week after week after week. Dallas wins 4-1. Kind of a surprise to me. This was them getting outshot, almost getting doubled up on shots. And
I mean, Tampa looked pretty exhausted. They gave up a goal on a 4-on-1, which is pretty humbling, I would say. And then the first Dallas goal, they just kind of stopped playing because there was a forecheck along the boards, and it kind of looked like, I don't know if Tampa was waiting for a penalty or they were just kind of watching, and it looked a little drapery, but everybody turned out okay after that. And then there was an empty netter, so it's not like this was a 4-1 just ass kicking by Dallas. I wouldn't say that. It just looked like Tampa was just kind of tired. They played pretty strong defense, but I think a day off and maybe some Capri Suns for the Tampa Bay Lightning players, and less giving up goals when it's one player against 4 blue shirts. I think they'll be fine.
I did like the article that came out. It was either the News or the Free Press, but they were talking about all the Detroit Red Wings connections in this. And the 2 easiest ones to point to are Jim Nill leading the way for Dallas, and then Steve Yzerman pretty much putting together this Lightning team and all the core pieces. It's pretty neat. I think I would be pretty happy for Jim Nill because it did look like he was managing a team into the ground, and then just all of a sudden they went from their playoff hopefuls, kind of, best case middle runners. And then, now they're in the Stanley Cup Finals. And then for the Lightning, it kind of felt like I want to see Yzerman go, I'm not there, but that's my team and I want a cup. Like he should get to go out to the ice and spin that cup around, I think, if the Lightning pull that off. So
did you like the presentation of the cup? Just for game 1, they don't usually do that. Usually they kind of, have it like a special guest is behind the curtain, for like game 4 and 5. You can see him if you, kind of peeking around the curtain, but they actually put it out like a WWE championship, just let it be visible. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I wonder if you're allowed to just break through the glass and grab it and run away. Like, is that your winner of the Stanley Cup? Is that when sports writers always have that? So it's the
24/7 championship. You just gotta roll up. They
always
roll
do
up Vasilevsky and Dallas wins.
They always do that baloney where it's like, well, this team obviously wanted it more. What if you're the team that's like, I'm not playing this hockey game. I'm going to steal the Stanley Cup because I want it the most. I don't need to play a hockey game. So then they just break through the glass and you see, 20 Tampa Bay Lightning, got Vasilevsky with his big old pads trying to hold it and stumble up the steps. And I like that idea.
Dallas is going to be Pee Wee Herman and Big Adventure just getting on the bike. I think I'll try it now. And they'll just be pedaling out of the stadium.
Well, Mike, that would be quite a huge risk to take. But you know what isn't a huge risk, Mike? When you swipe down below to cut close on your nuts, your twig and berries, with the old Lawnmower 3.0 from Manscaped. This is Mike. We've been talking about it for months. It used to be we were talking about it for weeks. But why does it get the upgrade to months and hopefully years? Because this thing cuts so clean and nice. Love it. This is when our family members start to fast forward 30 seconds because they don't want to hear me talking about shaving my nuts. But it's my favorite part of the entire show, Mike, because the world needs to know. I posted pictures of my brand new patio that's finally done.
What you post pictures of? Oh, your patio.
I posted
Jesus,
pictures.
Man. That's another thing family members are going to fast forward through. Oh my God.
All right. Yeah.
Look at that bikini cut. Looks pretty smooth, huh?
No more YouTube videos for Matt. My account's been shut down because I've been posting my results from my lawnmower 3.0 of my patio. And I did it in the heat. In the heat because I was nice and close shaven, and I could have the air breathing between my legs. It was great. Everything worked out because I was so clean cut. And that thing you can just whip right around down there. It'll be the cleanest, safest shave you have for that area. Mike, this is the third generation mower for Manscaped, which means that they've had 2 shots at it. This third time they've perfected it. You've got 90 minutes of battery and LED light to shine on your nuts. They call it where the sun don't shine. So you need that light down there to make sure you're not missing any little hairs. That's the last thing you want, Mike. You don't want to get that little tickle, that one little hair that you missed. You're not going to avoid the tickle with the lawnmower 3.0 with the one little hair that's just down there dancing around. Avoid the tickle by going to manscaped.com. Using promo code THPN, that gets you 20% off and free shipping. To avoid that one hair tickle, manscaped.com, promo code T. I'm going to save that. That's moving on. Avoid the tickle. Hashtag avoid the tickle. Manscaped.com. Again, that's promo code THPN. That gets you 20% off and free shipping on the Lawnmower 3.0. It's actually an entire package that you get delivered to you. So check that out at manscaped.com. Highly recommend it. Hashtag avoid the tickle. All right. Mike, the 2014. I think I did throw in a song on my little pre-made video, but I do like that better. The 2014 NHL Draft. Mike, Steve has another shot at upgrading the Tampa Bay Lightning. I kind of like how this played out. So we'll go over what Steve did real quick because we're still trying to we've decided is our second to last NHL redraft because it's just too there's not enough information on the players that are out there. So all we'd really be doing going forward, we'd
be going over the rookies of the year and whether or not we agree with the voting for the win. Yeah, a lot of our categories would be gone. One category would still remain. I would like to post. Matt, that would be the Yuri Depita. We could still find the oldest player in every draft. Thank God. But, yeah, go ahead.
So this one, Stevie got Anthony D'Angelo and Brayden Point. Woo! Who Brayden Point's going to come up a lot in this conversation, but I like how this timeline works. So Anthony D'Angelo gets traded for another draft pick. That draft pick turns into Liber Hayek, who both of these guys we've mentioned on the show already and discussing Steve Yzerman's drafting abilities. Both of those guys not working out so great, but eventually Liber Hayek becomes a part of the trade that brings over former New York Rangers captain Ryan McDonough to help out the Tampa Bay Lightning. He's helping out quite a bit now. So I kind of like that timeline. Like if this guy doesn't get drafted, then Liber Hayek doesn't get drafted, then doesn't turn into eventually Ryan McDonough, who was that the big trade piece, Liber Hayek? No, but without him, maybe it doesn't happen. Who knows? They needed some defenseman to get slotted in there. When you look up Liber Hayek now, it's all of his stories are forgotten Rangers defensemen. Anyway, so what the big story here is Brayden Point, almost a point per game player, throwing in the. Let's just do it. He's our Datsuk Diamond in the Rough winner. He's the key cog for the Tampa Bay Lightning. We've seen him get too many overtime goals this year. 92 points last year, just under, I think, 64 points in 66 games this year. What I really like is the expected goals for percentage. And you're looking at probably over the last couple seasons, one of the most impressive forwards in Nikita Kucherov, production-wise. So I'm not sitting here and saying like just strictly like what are we measuring skill here, or like eyeball test. We're just talking strictly statistics. So those expected goals for numbers should be through the roof. And Brayden Point, drafted as a third rounder, and Kucherov being a second rounder. I mean, he's right behind him in all the statistics. So it's very impressive to see. And Brayden Point is really making a name for himself. I mean, when you watch these playoffs, it's hard, especially with his two-way style of playing.
Yeah,
it's hard to say he's not right now the best player on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Forward, I should say. I think Victor Hedman is easily the best player for the Tampa Bay Lightning right now.
he might be up there.
Holy shit. That guy's really rocking the shit. It's fun watching them celebrate after the game and seeing him tower over like, a Brayden Point.
Hey, everybody.
So, I mean, yeah, from a forward perspective, I think I should come back on those comments I was making. From a forward perspective, it's very hard to say that Brayden Point is not the best player in the Tampa Bay Lightning, who are still 4 wins away from a Stanley Cup, but a lot closer than our Detroit Red Wings. Anyway, Mike, you want to take over on scouting department winners? I guess this is a good transition.
It's really hard to exclude Tampa, who I'm pretty sure every single team had 2 shots at drafting this Brayden Point, and everybody whiffed. So I'm going to put them up there. And I always like teams that, get a couple of guys, a couple of dudes playing a couple hundred games. That's kind of our criteria. Are they actually contributing at the NHL level? Do you have more than one? Because even Tampa this season, they weren't, back to back picks, dominating. It's just that they got arguably one of the best players, way at the bottom of the tiramisu layers that is the NHL draft. You mentioned that trade they made to eventually get McDonough, but I'm going to put my Nashville Predators in there. I know Kevin Fiala's maybe not, at the top. The cream rises to the top of everybody's draft board, but he's a contributor. And they drafted one of my favorite players here for this draft, at least, because he is our Yuri Depita, oldest fart in the draft, Mr. Viktor Arvisson. They hit the criteria there, man. The only other team that I would include in this group is probably the Anaheim Ducks, because they got Brandon Montour, they got Nicholas Ritchie. Matt, I'm really excited to see who take him number 1 in our draft, and then Andre Case. So they got some depth. They got a couple guys, and that's all we're really looking for here. And Matt, I do see you have some scouting department losers. So again, just friendly reminders that even if these, maybe they don't quite pan out that season for the winners, by the way, they panned out eventually somewhere. So Matt, who do you have for our losers this year?
Right. When people are watching this years from now, could turn out
dust is settling in the apocalypse, and there's only one podcast that made it through on Spotify.
So Ottawa Senators are my first loser, scouting department loser for the 2014 draft. 33 games total played, and this is over 4 seasons. So it's Andreas Englund. He's had 4 different chances to stick on this team, and it hasn't worked out yet. So I
on Ottawa,
I tried to go like that.
He couldn't crack the Ottawa lineup.
Exactly. I tried to go that extra step and like trying to find who these the draft losers are. So I couldn't just say they didn't get a ton of games, because I'll talk about who else is a draft loser, but there's there's a couple of very highly touted goalie prospects on these teams. But I'd say we're pretty safe with Andreas getting 4 shots to try and crack the roster and failing each time. This truly was a fail for Ottawa. So nothing's coming out of this 2014 draft for them. Probably something that leads into how shitty they are now. So my other losers, and this comes with this asterisk, the caveat, because they're not getting a ton of games out of this draft yet. But the New York Rangers and Columbus Blue Jackets have nothing except for, and if you are a hardcore hockey fan, and I'm assuming if you're listening to a hockey podcast, you are. But so these names will sound familiar, but it's Igor Shesterkin and Elvis Merzlikins. So two goaltender, I'm going to still say prospects that, towards the end of the season, we got to see them get some play time. And then it just turned into this conversation, especially when you see like the Philadelphia Flyers have all the success with Carter Hart, you just want to make this push. And that could be a failure is when you see one team have success with something, you just keep pushing it to work for your team. But I at least would put on that asterisk that if these two guys don't work out, which they're very highly touted right now, they have some NHL success already, very little. That they aren't draft losers, but these guys don't work out. Or I'm sorry, I said if they don't already. If they do work out, then these teams aren't draft losers. If they don't work out, absolutely, because then they walk away from this draft with nothing.
Yeah. Real quick too. Really fun name to say in Merzlikins. But as far as fun names go, Matt, I think we hit most of our categories. We got our Datsuk Diamond winner in Brayden. We got our Yuri Depita. For the record, Viktor Arvisson, 21, tempting death at every turn here. I don't just want to put him out there. We talk about Stanley Cup kind of peeking around the curtain. Arguably, so is death every time Viktor has a shift. But he's getting 0.6 points a game. I think so. That's something the Red Wings would like to get out of some of their players. But speaking of the Red Wings, that kind of brings us, before we do our redraft, to the home team here. They could have arguably been in the scouting department winners, if only because taking a look at their first round pick, drafted at 15, which is, last I checked, not a top 14 pick. They got one of the better players in Dylan Larkin. They got their assistant captain, who I have to think at some point is going to actually be a real captain. Looking at some of the, arguably the previous 6 or 7 picks would probably, flip for Larkin. Larkin's probably he's definitely getting picked in our redraft. Right. Probably going top 5.
Maybe.
And then the rest of the Red Wing picks, Dominic Turgeon. What bumps me out about mentioning him is he was our last pick before Brayden Point. So you're like, God damn it. This was the season the Red Wings actually drafted Christopher. Don't say a meh in. And then Matt, another player named Axel Holmstrom. And I'm going to let you know right now, there's 2 reasons they drafted him. One is his last name. The other reason, his first name. I don't know if they thought they're getting another Tomas Holmstrom, and maybe they just like Axl Rose, but not much out of that pick besides a great name. Right up there with Elvis Merzlikins for funnest name to say.
And for all the, hardcore Red Wings fans, we know that Holmstrom's making his strides. But yeah, I kind of agree. I don't see this cracking anything.
It won't be Seattle cracking anything.
There's no main roster hopes there. In my opinion. Sorry if I'm wrong. And everybody can come back and throw the
maybe we'll inspire
them.
them. I would love to be saying Axel Holmstrom and reading him in my box scores every other day. Come on, Axel Holmstrom.
Also, we're also looking at another career Grand Rapids Griffin in Turgeon, so that can't hurt there. Doesn't hurt to fill out your Griffins roster every now and then. All right, Mike. We also have to say goodbye to the Good Boy Award because we based it off 2 things. You had to be good.
You had to be a boy.
Okay, 3 things.
So 3 things.
You had to be good. You had to be a boy, and you had to stick with the same team. So with that, everybody's on the same team. So we're not.
You're still on your first contract. Essentially, we'd give it to people who would re-up with the home team. So
right, and I think they've had some opportunities, but everybody's sticking around. So it's
these guys are too young.
Yeah, overall, this award's done because the further we go into these, the less likely anybody's going to move. And since nobody's moved in this year's draft, I mean, you know what we could do is say the opposite is the bad boy, and we'll just pick Alex Tuck because he didn't leave. He got moved in for the Vegas draft, but yeah, okay, we're done. I don't. What am I doing? I'm sitting here doing my least favorite thing in the world when people like respond to shit just to say some baloney so I can go, you do watch hockey. Good for you. That's my least favorite thing in the world. Okay. Mike, the 2014, I do it all the time, so that's probably why I hate it. The 2014 redraft. Mike, I've got my list ready to go. I have 11 guys on it just in case. But yeah, this is getting harder and harder and harder to do. This was a pretty good draft too. So it's not it's not like we're looking at something that's, it's just going to be impossible to look at the 2019 draft and not just go like, oh, we'll follow along with elite prospects list that everybody has. But yeah, let's take a look here. Mike, you've got the first pick because let's see. This means out of our last 5 drafts, you'll have 3 number 1 picks, but I guess that's fair.
That's right, baby. Just like the Edmonton Oilers, we're always up there. Yeah,
that's why we need to do one more draft so that I can get the last first pick, which won't
that's why we need to retire this segment so the Edmonton Oilers win again. But this season it wasn't the Oilers, it was the Panthers. They took easily the best defenseman in this draft in Aaron Ekblad. He's the Calder winner of this draft. Looking at the point share for everybody else in this season, it's forwards and Ekblad. That's all you get, really.
And keep in mind, point share is a measurement including the team success. So this is a guy in the top 3 with the Florida fucking Panthers. So that does mean a
monumental achievement. A monumental achievement.
Exactly.
I gotta think that I don't know if a goal scoring forward is really going to be kicking the Panthers up a notch. Obviously, we've seen a defenseman isn't doing much, but I just think like in the realm of like a Herculean, Hulk-like Jonathan Bernier effort, where you are just surrounded by diarrhea. Somehow you have come out clean. You have come out shining. You have come out a leader in the National Hockey League. Matt, the Florida Panthers have looked at Draisaitl. They've looked at Brayden Point scoring playoff goals. They've looked at Dylan Larkin, and they've said, you know what? We're not changing a goddamn thing. Pick number 1. I'm doing it. The best defenseman in this draft by a million miles. Matt, he's taking the state of Florida on his back. Not since LeBron James and Dwayne Wade has a state been more proud of a homegrown product here.
This is
Matt,
great.
give me Ekblad all day. Go ahead. Like this pick.
Got him. He's number 4 on my draft board.
Got number 4. Woo! You know what? I draft like Yzerman. You know what? We need a defenseman. We're taking I don't give a goddamn. How about that?
All right, so number 2, Sabres, taking Sam Reinhart. I'm going to give them an upgrade here.
Is that your pick? That's your pick. Touch move. Touch move. Yes. All right.
In real life, they took Sam. Here's the easiest thing to do here is to say who's going to win the Hart Trophy this year, and then go, well, that guy should probably win. But that's not what I'm going to do, because if you look at his high danger scoring chances,
I like that Dr. Grant approach, Matt. But that's not what I'm going to do.
So I might be saying this because he's going to drop. He should drop considerably because I like my 2-way forwards. I'm a huge Pavel Datsyuk fan. I've got my
what are you doing over there?
My bobblehead broke, so all I've got left.
What are you doing?
All I've got left is this card, but it's pretty sad. I'm pretty sad I lost that bobblehead. But I like my 2-way forwards, Mike. I'm going with Brayden Point. Number 2.
You just busted my board.
Yes.
I really thought that you're going to let him just slide down the cracks like a stinky fart, but there he goes.
We want to go back to what I was saying earlier about Brayden Point, and it's not just that he's a point per game player, but he's a guy that is also doing fantastically for the measuring how many shots are how much control he has on the ice, how much possession when Brayden Point is on the ice. And yes, he does have a team that focuses offense first. He's just surrounded by talent everywhere he looks. But he's also getting the recognition from the league with some Selke votes. So I love my two-way forwards. His analytics prove that he is more efficient on the ice than the rest of than most of the rest of the NHL. So give me my Brayden Point. He's still learning. He's still growing. Boom. And Leon Draisaitl is an amazing player. But right now, if I had to take a look at how these two have produced, and let's look at playoffs too. You look at the playoff production, Brayden Point over Leon Draisaitl. So give Leon his Hart Trophy. I'm taking Brayden Point number 2. Mike, you got number 3.
Yes, I do. Man, sometimes in a draft, a shocking player will just keep on tumbling. And this draft is going to be no exception.
Oh, shit! He's not even going to make it to the Oilers.
The Edmonton Oilers originally took Draisaitl, and this guy is rocking and rolling. All right, he's literally a point per game player.
Yep.
But tell me, Matt, how many playoff moments does Draisaitl have? Go ahead. I'll wait. Now, you tell me if you are fed up with this keto diet bullshit and you just want a big old bowl of carbs. You want a big old bowl of pasta. You want a little playoff success. You want some regular season goals to go with that pasta. Matt, the Oilers, if they could do it again, they could roll it back. I think they're going to fill their little tummies full of David Pastrnak noodles. Matt, give me the pasta, man.
Oh, man.
He's, I know we like the recency bias, but it's just because every season's getting better and better and better. You go from 2016 up to now, 34 goals, 35 goals, 38 goals, 48 goals. So next season, I can only imagine he's going to have 58 goals. I can't wait to see the Pasta Man next year. Matt, he's carrying these Boston corpses as far as he can. Even guys dropping out of the playoffs this year, getting boo-boos. But the Pasta Man said, "Nay, we're still going to war." I like this guy. I know Boston loves him. Matt, I don't think that there's
Dunkin' Donuts loves him.
Yeah, they do. Carve it up, baby. Draisaitl, he's going to tumble again. I'm sorry, but comparing, yes, he does have a point per game, but it's when you go to the playoffs, it's just a whole different species there, and that's where I think the anthropomorphic pot of noodles himself, Mr. Pasta, is going to lead Edmonton out of the doldrums and maybe into a couple series victories in Lord Stanley's Cup's playoffs. So there we go. Matt, that takes us to number 4, where the Calgary Flames initially took Confederate war veteran Samuel Bennett, who he's been fine, but I think you have a better plan for them. Matt, number 4.
Well, yeah, all right, we're finally going to take him. So I'm giving it away, but Draisaitl drops a pick. I bet when you look at the 2014 draft and you look at the point production this year, you're kind of thinking like, all right, so he's the number 1 that should be taken.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We've been brought up on Detroit Red Wings hockey. We love our two-way forwards. Now at this point at number 4, like this is where the goal above replacement, like where I'm looking at a guy like Brayden Point, who's going to keep goals out of the net and score. At this point, Draisaitl scores enough to make it not matter when you look at the rest of the draft. So that's where Draisaitl, against all odds, against probably every other redraft that any other podcast or blog or ESPN or Sports Illustrated has done, we've done it, Mike, because we know better. Leon Draisaitl, number 4 to the Calgary Flames. He does drop from 3 to 4. despite the recency bias where he's going to win the Hart.
Yeah, I know.
Mike, you've got number 5 in the New York Islanders.
Whew.
This is where it starts to get sticky.
Yeah. Well, looking at the top 10 of this draft, we talked about Larkin going 15, and there's pretty solid scorers, and at least one defender in Aaron Ekblad in that top 15. The Islanders arguably got the only bust of the first 15 picks, which is quite a rotten honor for Michal Del Cow. If I butchered his name, well, that's what you get for being a bust. I just like the Islanders got to be looking up and down, like who got picked before, who got picked immediately after. And they got to be like, literally almost anything would be better outside of Haydn. FLeury! Yeah. Well, I just like saying his name because it sounds like a Pokemon attack.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the Islanders, right now they had a little playoff success this year, right? But
just a tad.
Just a smidge. We'll call it they did marginally better than the Red Wings. But you know what? I think they could take it a step farther if they did draft a current Red Wing. Matt, out of this draft, by God, he is number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in point share. So does that mean there's maybe a player I could take before them? Yeah, okay, maybe. But Matt, Dylan Larkin is going to love New York. Oh, my God. You think Hockey Town's real. Wait till you go to Island Town. On a team, just, again, you want to talk about, Jonathan Bernier just coming out squeaky clean and a big bowl of diarrhea. Dylan Larkin, watching all his line mates get injured and, he's maybe Bertuzzi is having a career season this year. Good for him. But this is an excellent player. This is a two-way player. This is a guy who's Matt. Maybe one day we'll get to compare him appropriately to our beloved Pavel Datsyuk, our Lord and Savior. Just because he does play both sides of the ice. He's eventually going to be a captain, and I think in New York, even looking at this playoff roster, I still think Larkin would be, on that top line. So he'd be leading them emotionally. He'd be leading them defensively, and he'd be getting some goals. Matt, at number 5, the Islanders get rid of their bust and take out the busty Dylan Larkin.
Okay. So this is where it gets tough. I don't know.
I still see Haydn FLeury on the board.
I also played with letting Draisaitl drop another pick and taking Larkin.
Oh, you hold on, you.
So that would have been fun. I see what you're saying with Reinhart. I have my list here, so I guess like you kind of look at it and you make your list and then you start double checking everything and nothing seems to make sense anymore. But I'm going to stick with it. This is who is on my list. This is based on the research I did, and right now I'm crunching numbers to see if I did make the right choice. But I think I'm going to go back to some of the struggles that Winnipeg has had. So when we're trying to look at, so it's Nikolaj Ehlers is who I'm taking at 6.
Oh, for the Canucks? Yeah.
Yeah. So there have been some struggles with this team overall. So some of the numbers actually for the hardcore analytics do take a dip. But I still like the production. And if you want to go backwards in time and take, let's give some, I guess, credence to plus minus, even though his high danger scoring chances for are actually below 50%. So he's giving up more high danger scoring chances than he's getting. So, for all the reasons we let Leon Draisaitl drop, I'm not counting that against Nikolaj Ehlers, but I am going to say, at least from the perspective of if I let affect me where Winnipeg was and where they are now and what that means from a defensive aspect, like giving up all those chances isn't necessarily Ehlers' fault. He's on the ice, but this team just was complete. Connor Hellebuck is going to win the Vezina because this defense is so bad and he prevailed. So for Ehlers' numbers to be lower in regards to these analytics, possession numbers, and shots given up, and I want to measure a two-way forward and give that the sort of the leg up. I'm going to say that's the reason why these analytics aren't where they're at. And he still has like a plus minus in the positive, which is a plus 34 over his career. More importantly, he's almost a 2/3 point per game guy. So he's over that half point threshold. And Nikolaj Ehlers, he's going to, what is this? Number 6? Yeah, he's going to go number 6. So that's, I feel like it needed more explanation because it's probably not the right pick.
Well, Matt, I think back-to-back picks here. I'm helping out teams who got the only busts. Islanders with Michal, Del Cole, and then the Hurricanes with Haydn. FLeury! And usually what we like to do is a little positional consistency, but I just couldn't talk myself into Montour from drafted by Anaheim. And outside of that, there's nobody really up there yet who's, kind of been head and shoulders above the rest defensively. So I didn't want to just marginally better than lateral movement. And as we start to get to the end of this segment here, I just want to make sure he does get drafted. So at number 7, it's going to be the old man of the sea, Mr. Viktor Arvisson. He's when he was all right. So in his 16-17, that's when he's getting all-star votes, Bing votes, Selke votes, all the awards that, we, really conjure up a wet noodle over here for Red Wing fans. And that's when he played, 80 games. He got 61 points. The next season he had 78 games played, 61 points. So he, a little bit better per game, slightly better, like decimal place better. And then in 2018-19, he got some boo-boos, but was still kind of right at that average of like 0.63 points a game. And definitely starting to learn more about that statistic as we watch more Red Wing games, or I do personally, and seeing how valuable it is just to please put something on the board once in a while. So it would just be a valuable, addition to any team. And I don't think that getting a marginally better defenseman than Haydn FLeury is really gonna, get them higher in the hockey elite. So I'm gonna give him the old man of the sea at age 21 here. Viktor, who is, just a couple boo-boos away from maybe getting up, almost to, 0.75 points a game, which pretty good plateau in my opinion. So Matt, there we go. Haydn FLeury still on the board for you at number 8.
All right. So the game I get to play right now, I think I can either go. So this, I do it all the time. I could just go with, I can go with my draft board, or I can change it up for some reason, because right when I get to my pick, I start second guessing my own ability to do this. And so far, I'm not seeing enough for me to keep going with how I set up my draft board. So I'm going to do the last 3 seasons here again, and we're looking at William Nylander, and he's going to go. So he's another guy that, despite a team who you would make the argument like their problem isn't offense, it's defense, but he still has those positive numbers in regards to chances given up, and like what his team's able to do compared to what his opponent's able to do. And with the same kind of holes that we were just talking about with Nikolaj Ehlers, and not quite as deep a hole as the Winnipeg Jets are in that the Toronto Maple Leafs have, but they're able to design this team to just keep shooting the puck and then take advantages that way. But he's been able to find a spot on this team, and maybe how many consecutive seasons he had 60 points, which is pretty impressive considering this was before the Maple Leafs really became like, this for sure should be a Stanley Cup contender, once Tavares comes in. So he's still racking up 61 points in 81 games in 16-17. So I'm going to say Nylander's taking the number 8 spot for that reason. He's got those positive possession numbers. He gives up less high danger scoring chances the last 3 seasons than he's getting. So all those adding up together for me makes him my number 8 pick. And he sticks with the Leafs. I didn't even say that it was a Maple Leafs pick. So yeah, I think Mike, you might have a really easy number 9 though.
You do?
I would say the who I left on the board is easily number 9.
I don't know. It's kind of like I drive a Chevy Cruze, right? And it's pretty reliable. It's got a pretty good, sound, like the Bluetooth connection's pretty strong. I think the speakers are pretty good, but it gets like 500 miles on the tank in the summer.
Yeah.
It's just kind of consistent. Do I hate the car? No. It runs. It's pretty quiet. It's pretty cost efficient.
Yeah.
If there was ever a player who was the Chevy Cruze of the National Hockey League, it's Sam Reinhart. Was that the player you were alluding to?
Yeah.
Thank God. All right, because I was really trying to pull my own teeth out, trying to decide if I should take a marginal defenseman here, but he's not taking a match to the world and lighting it on fire, but he's got that little, that cute little number there. Here, watch. Let me do this for you. All right, let me see here. So this is me like at the gas station doing the math. All right, well, let's see. I got about 255 points and like 400 games played. That's like 0.6375. So it's pretty good. He's got about 50. He's like the Chevy Cruze. He's there every season, even from the get go. Like he didn't quite play, like they gave him that first, toe in the water experience, and then 70, 79 games, 79, 82, 82. And then one of our favorite numbers, this shortened season because of COVID, he did play 69 games. So excellent choice by him, because it made me giggle to see that number again in the stats. But we're really, I think he was picked a little high for Buffalo originally, but I think for the number 9 pick for the Jets, I think taking a Chevy Cruze is, it's a smart move, while you're maybe you can reallocate funds in other places, like I'm buying a house. So thanks to that Chevy Cruze, it's monthly obligation. It makes other things more affordable. So there you go. You get Sam Reinhart, and now you can go out for brunch every weekend. So there you go. Matt, that takes us to pick number 10. God bless you. I don't know what you're going to do with that pick.
I'm gonna go with the guy that we were talking about before we even started. But this is
Robbie Fabry, baby.
Ooh,
make a deal with the devil.
Take 2 Detroit Red Wings. Woo! And this, we'd really have to start saying that the Red Wings are making strides. With we should have stuck on
Perlini's still out there, man. Ooh,
that's true. All right, I did have a guy in mind, but now that you said, let me do one quick thing here, because I was just gonna.
Come on, man.
Take
you
a
want to do it. He's
shark.
The $2.95 million man himself. Woo!
All right, let's do this game. I've got 3 guys in mind.
Oof.
It's Kevin LeBlanc, 33 points in 70 games. Alex Tuck, who was more successful a couple years ago, and he had 17 points in 42 games. And then we've got Robbie Fabry, who had 31 points in 52 games. Mike, God damn it all to hell, I'm going to take Robbie goddamn Fabry.
Yeah.
Number 10.
Woo!
Since he's got the best point per game out of those 3 guys, and all 3 of them are listed as like bottom 6.
You know what, man? We went from the reliable Chevy Cruze to a Dodge Challenger with an engine that's just 3 hamsters on a treadmill. Yeah!
I mean, There's so much in this draft. There's a Nick Schmaltz that you could have taken. I don't know if you want to go with games played and pick up a Brandon Montour and get a serviceable defenseman that's going to fill out.
I know. I thought about it,
but yeah, I think I nailed it. Robbie Fabry for the win. Yeah.
Dodge Challenger operated by hamsters on a treadmill. I like it.
Hell yeah! All right, Mike. That's it. We got through another draft. We've got one more to go, and it's the Connor McDavid draft, and I get the first pick next week. So
these last 4 picks, Matt, they really doing their best to turn us into Drew Miller with the gray hair. Let me tell you.
Yeah, that was rough. That was a lot of last-second number crunching. It kind of makes me wonder why I even put a draft board together, because Robbie Fabry did not make my draft board. But yeah, just the last second, who had the best 2019-20 season.
There was more Haydn and Han than the Secretariat movie.
Right. Could be quite the deal.
There's a lot of horsey sounds in that movie if you haven't seen it.
All that Hammond and Han. All right, everybody, thank you for watching episode 75 of Red Wings Rant / another name. We'll slowly phase it out. From the Brothers of Discussion and the Hockey Podcast Network. Check out Manscaped. It's manscaped.com, and the promo code is THPN if you want to get 20% off and free shipping on the Lawnmower 3.0 package. And we are at BOD Hockey on Twitter, brothers_of_discussion on Instagram, and our YouTube page is the Brothers of Discussion. If you could head over there and subscribe. Also, same thing with the Hockey Podcast Network and our show on Apple Podcasts, which you can just find as Red Wings Rant. Check all those out. And we'll see you guys next week. Toodaloo.